How many?
Great. So
how many registrations?
Okay, we are going online. So hello everyone. I'm very happy to start Legal Hackers cross-border digital lunch, which is organized by 5 chapters around the Baltics. So Vilnius, which came with the idea. We wanted to continue our good experience, which we started with Lithuanian digital lunch, and we thought, why not to connect other, let's say, chapters and to share interesting views, because we have, like Legal Hackers, we have very interesting community. So what is those digital lunch? So I have some notes about them. So first of all, a little time we will spend on advertisement. So the second episode will be hosted by Stockholm and Copenhagen. It will be on 21st of April on 12 Central European summertime. Third one, after 1 week, also will be hosted by Estonia, so it will be on 28th of April. The fourth one will be hosted by Stockholm and Copenhagen on the 4th of May, and the fifth and the final will be hosted by Helsinki on the 11th of May. So anyway, you will find all the information about it. And also, because we started to talk about the events, I would like to add also a few notes about some events which we are organizing next week. So on Tuesday we have Vilnius Legal Hackers meetup about which is titled "Have you ever lost your data control?" And we will talk about digital identity. Who will participate? We will have a guest, Mike Robinson. He is a head of one department at TransUnion. Sorry. So he will share some ideas how hackers can hack your social identity, digital identity, and what is happening, what to do, what not to do, and it will be a very interesting meetup. Then after 2 days, we will start with another meetup. So Nikki Shaver and Chris Ford will talk about Legal Tech Hub. So you are very welcome to join them. And also next week, we will have cybersecurity hackathon. And you can find the links on our social networks. And now I would like to go to this event and to welcome very nice guests who have joined. And I also want to thank them because we met on Monday with other digital Legal Hackers chapters, and we discussed about that idea that we are organizing. And they said, okay, Martinas, are you ready to do it? I said, yes. And then I had to find, participants for this event. And so I would like to thank you that you agreed in a short moment to join this event. First of all, I would like to welcome all of you. So Edvinas, he is one of the brightest stars of, let's call it, young lawyers in Lithuania. He's a president of Young Lawyers organization. Yeah, but he can a little bit explain about himself. So I'm very happy to see him in this first digital cross-border event. And I remember that Edvinas was one of the first who sent us like welcome video to Vilnius Legal Hackers a year ago. when we were establishing. So thank you. We are very happy. Second, Paulius. So Paulius, he also is co-founder of Vilnius Legal Hackers. And when I came with the idea that in Vilnius we need like legal hackers chapter, so the first person to whom I have called was Paulus, and he said yes. And we together were participating in the call with the headquarters of legal hackers and discussed with Jameson about what we are planning to do. So thank you, Paulus, for saying yes at the right moment, not saying, wait a little bit. And Ursula, yeah, if I have pronounced well your name.
Ursula is fine.
Oh, Ursula. Okay, so I know that Paulus has great connections with you, and you are doing something very interesting, and you are developing like legal tech, and the right person to be here. So welcome everybody, and I will ask you, to introduce a little bit about yourself, what you are doing. So maybe Edvinas could start.
Yeah, so hello everyone. Thank you, Martinas and Vilnius Legal Hackers, for inviting us. I believe it's a great opportunity to speak about the questions we hear about each day, but to speak about them, it's very good. To introduce myself, I'm Edvinas Meškys. I'm an expert attorney at Alex Valiūnas law firm, as well as a president of Lithuanian Young Bar Association. Part-time, I am also supporting the pharmaceutical company Teva Baltics. So in a way, I could share how the legal tech works on both sides, on legal, let's say as a law firm and as well as a business. So I'm very glad we could have a fruitful discussion today, and yeah.
Thank you, Edvinas. And Paulus, maybe you can introduce yourself. Can you turn on the...
Yeah, thanks. So thank you, Martinas, for this, good introduction, and saying yes at the right time. It's like a marriage contract type of thing. So yeah, I'm married to Vilnius Legal Hackers, and I'm very happy about it. And I'm my main thing I do is I'm lawyering, mostly working with fintechs and other technology startups. So technology context is very, very close to our practice areas, and of course it's time, as time rolls down, it became simply a way of a lifestyle and a field of academic interest, a field of my hobbies. So I think I'm in the right place here.
Thank you, Paulus, for being in the right place. And Ursula, maybe you could introduce yourself, what you are doing in legal tech.
Sure. Greetings to everyone. Thank you so much for the invitation, and it's really a pleasure to be here among you. I'm also a lawyer by background. I've been practicing as a lawyer with big law firms, White & Case and Dentons, maybe you know them, from Budapest for more than 11 years. And I've been doing M&A transactions throughout the Central Eastern European region. Up until late 2016, when I went to the first Legal Geek conference in London, if you remember, maybe some of you attended that event, and that was a life changer, basically the very first one. I came back to Budapest, kind of enlightened, really, and I realized how much really the legal work is changing and is going to change very quickly. And back then, of course, we didn't know, COVID coming up and, how quickly that is really going to happen. But that really was a shift for me professionally. So I left Big Law to establish my own consultancy firm on legal technology, and that is called InvestCE Legal Tech Consultancy. And what we do, essentially, our mission is to help lawyers, both law firms and in-house legal teams, to use creatively legal technology tools, right? Like there's so much discussion about, replacement by robots and all those crazy ideas, which should not be the case, right? But we are there to help lawyers, find the right technologies, apply them in the right context, and really make the most of these great tools that are out there.
Well,
I'm delighted to have this discussion with all of you today.
Sounds amazing. the right person for the lawyers. Yeah, so thank you for your introduction. I would like to start from Edvinas, because I really love what he is doing in his academic career, and he published, at least I saw one, but maybe a few papers on deep fake. Edvinas, because now everybody is locked during that pandemic, and a lot of activities, even for the lawyers, went online. As academic who studies deepfake problem, what can you say to us? Is it like a risk? Maybe in the future, when the pandemic will be over, maybe there will be, I don't know, maybe some lawyers will use arguments, that it was used deepfake technology during the court case, and maybe we need to, I don't know, to organize the live session. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so firstly, I would start speaking about technologies as such with a quote from Steve Jobs, who said that a lot of times people don't know what they want until you show them. And this is so true, I believe, for the lawyers who always used to say that we are archaic profession and we don't need to go into technologies because we used to work in a way we work for many years and the clients love it. But we see that the future is changing, and everything what legal tech used to be only as a scientific, maybe fiction, now it becomes reality. And one of that reality, what we face during pandemic, so I would see two challenges. Firstly, for lawyers, when we have the technologies and the ways of communication, I believe you can feel that the burden between work and private life actually disappears. It's so tempting for the clients to contact you during the night through their message and to ask about the case. But this is one thing. Another thing, emerging of technologies such as deepfakes. So deepfakes, for those who are not aware of that, but maybe saw some nice possibilities where the apps allow you to put your face onto someone famous and to be present in the movies, in any commercial. And it's so much fun, it's as long as we use that for fun matters, for commercial matters, it could be okay. But we see that more and more criminals are using that for different purposes. Starting from Pennsylvania, where a mother of children tried to bully other girls by showing that they were drinking or using the medicine, so drugs. Then to blackmailing and asking for bitcoins or whatever in order not to show certain so-called real videos. And then we move to even further. So those questions, of course, would raise many issues, legal issues for the lawyers, such as IP rights, such as what kind of criminal act was performed. But then now we more and more communicate online. So what if in the near future we could falsify the video? And maybe it's not even me talking at this time. you are expecting Edvinas to present something in legal tech, but let's imagine that someone uses this technology of deepfake to falsify my voice and image. And I believe you saw all this nice viral video where the cat was participating in a court trial. It was so much fun, but it was accident. What if someone would actually go to the lawyer and pretend it was me as a client instead of the real person? And attorneys, especially without having certain knowledge and certain technical possibilities, they could reveal confidential information. Or they could change the behavior, saying that, okay, the client wants to take back the claim, so I will do it on their behalf. And this is a threat when you communicate through, I don't know, Skype or Teams without checking. And it goes even further if we speak about e-court trials, which is very tempting now. It's very easy for anyone. You can connect from different parts of the world, lawyers, judges, prosecutors, clients, all in one place. But do we have the possibility to identify? So this is maybe the start for your next meetup, social identity or online identity theft. And this could happen. Even more, we say that the judges actually evaluate what they see and in videos as evidence is based on their understanding. And at the moment, we hire experts to actually confirm that it was the person in this video or some acts were done. But what if those videos would be created with deepfakes, which we cannot actually identify? So in this case, we would say that anything what we used to say that it's real and based on our understanding, this was the fact as evidence, could be that only experts could actually confirm. So in each such case, we would have to use the experts, meaning that depending on the technology used, depending on the experts, one or another decision could come up in many trials. So I see this downside of the technology, but very interesting for lawyers to think where it might end up.
Wow, thank you, Edvinas. Yeah, it is very crazy. It sounds like a science fiction movie. When I think about that deepfake problem. But you are coming like from a big law company, do you already think about some like defense strategy to say to the judge that maybe it was a deepfake technology somewhere?
Well, in a way, of course, you have to think about those strategies, because it would be very unsmart, I would say, to think that let's wait for the technology to emerge and then when we'll face those problems. We already see that this technology goes very fast. And there are even researchers which say that when those deepfakes were tried on Amazon and Microsoft identification platforms, 78% of them did not detect those deepfakes, which means that, of course, even the lawyers would have to think that what they see at the court trial, it's not necessarily the truth. And we can, I was, let's say, hypothetically thinking of what if we know a Russian case, right, where known politician was killed on the bridge. So there are no clear videos, but what if some videos would appear? And would the judges really think that this is a real video? So of course, as for lawyers, we, no matter big or small, we need to adopt and take those into risk categories as well.
Yeah, thank you for those interesting views. Edvinas, I also, because you started to talk, I wanted to ask about legal tech in your office. Like, you are representing like a huge law firm, one of the biggest in Lithuania, and also you are like a lawyer of other companies. So are you using some tools already? What is the situation?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so basically, I believe that most of law firms who are trying the legal tech matters, they concentrate on two effective things. One is research equipment, another thing is so-called contract drafting. So for the contract drafting, yes, we use the clause base, and there are quite many different ones what you can use. And for research, we use the luminance, so as such technology. Additionally, we don't have this inside, but I know that we hire as a external service. So these are forensic tools, which are very convenient, especially if you have a huge case in competition law. So what they do, they can actually place in and some hardware and scan through all the technologies, through all the information, and search for so-called keywords, and then you can evaluate what the problem is. So here, this is very, let's say, convenient. Some comments on the contract drafting and maybe this research tool and what we see in practice. So one of the fears we need to overcome is that in order for any technology to work, we need to feed the technology with information. So firstly, who would do that? And it requires some resources. Another threat is that if you use some bigger, let's say, firm to provide you the technology, there is a threat for the lawyers that this best knowledge could go to other competitors, and nobody wants to have it. And from research side, it's very convenient. It's very good. You can search for appropriate information. You can search for, let's say, court decisions. But here I see a bit of threat for young lawyers, because we all went through that, through going searching for appropriate court decision, and we were learning by this. And if we eliminate this finding of an appropriate court decision, it could be that those young lawyers would never see them again. So this is why it has two sides. But we try to implement, and we try to also convince the clients that this is a good way of doing this. And additionally, I would separate for the clients, for those who need a standard solution, those technologies would work perfectly. We have examples of Revolut where it has AI-driven decision. If something goes wrong with the credit card or with the payment, it certainly decides on that. But for very extensive M&A deals, it could help, and it would help, and this is very good. I believe no one here wants to work on this administrative work or technical work. But do I see the threat for the lawyers? No, I don't, because we will need our insights. And unfortunately, IE, even Siri, is a fourth grade partner at this. It can decide on some let's say, fed information, but not still not more. Yeah.
Okay, so you see only the threat to the young lawyers, yeah, to those who just graduating university or are students, and before the legal tech tools appeared, they were used as those very important people who are collecting all the necessary information. But also, when I was working in a legal tech center, we also got some information that some companies from other countries, they are looking for young lawyers to help to learn artificial intelligence tools to understand some legal language. So I think in that perspective, maybe a young lawyer still is needed at this time.
Of course, the threat could be on both sides. If older lawyers would not implement and would not use those technologies, someone else would, and would be more effective. And this is why we have those bright speakers here, Paulus and Ursula, to actually show. And it also reflects in another quote, sorry for quoting Harry Ford. He said, if I would have asked people what they wanted, they would have asked for faster horse. We don't want a faster horse. We don't want to simply get rid of administrative information and administrative work. We need new solutions. And those new solutions, I believe you will speak, but more and more we are overloaded with the information. And it seems that the contracts are written for other lawyers, but not for the clients. So maybe if we would change the way we draft it, the way we use the technologies, it would actually help. At the moment, most of those technologies are neither client-friendly nor, let's say, lawyers-friendly. If you have a great, even Luminance, it's a great tool, expensive tool. There is no information which was fed, so you need to work on that, and then you need to train all the lawyers how to use it. So it's and everyone is very busy nowadays and don't want to invest more time because it takes more time at first. So they do the same way. Contract drafting the same way, it's in a way standard contract templates are okay. But if I had a perfect M&A contract before, so maybe it's faster for me to delete it in Word file.
Okay, thank you, Edvinas, for those very interesting insights. Let's switch to the smaller Lithuanian legal company, to the representative Paulus, who has its own, if I'm right, company. So what are you doing? Are you using legal tech tools? Does it change have you changed something during pandemic? Is it something very different for you? What is the situation?
Yes, so as you correctly noted, I'm coming from a small law firm, and for a context, Lithuania is a country of solo practitioners or small law firms. 80% of all the law firms has one or two lawyers in them. If you increase by one lawyer, it comes 90% of all the law firms are 1 to 3 lawyers. So if you have 11 or more, you are already in the 1% range. So it's basically all the Lithuanian market is a market of small law firms, and I'm kind of having 1 to 3 lawyers on board. I know the problematic when it comes to integration and adaptation of a legal tech inside. So being small and specialized law boutique, when it comes to legal tech tools, we are asking ourselves, well, why, despite this maximum flexibility in our operations, I mean, being the small team, you have maximum flexibility to adapt to anything. There is no chain of command or whatever, and you'd catch all the people, by the hand. So despite that, why we as a law firm are still very slow integrating legal tech tools in our practice. And even besides that, being legal tech enthusiasts by ourselves and advisors for the others, and having had many talks and workshops with colleagues, we're asking the same question, well, why within the context of legal market in Lithuania in general, the other 90 or 99% of colleagues are also very slow in integrating legal tech tools in practice. So having these, questions for ourselves and for others, we see kind of three problems within. The first problem is general awareness. I mean, I have started spreading the idea of law without lawyers maybe 10 years ago. And at that time, I was met with remarks, well, whatever you're smoking, just please do it less, or not in our lifetime. I mean, I was, met in some forums like type of cosmonaut talking about AI and law. They said, well, this guy is, out of this life. So, but that approach changed maybe 5 years ago as there were some more and more conferences, meetups, and other knowledge sharing events, and the legal tech tools started appearing. And I believe the COVID lockdown is actually served as a huge boost for this awareness issue. I mean, suddenly even the biggest skeptics were forced to join the online communication tools and look for ways to work and talk remotely. And what we have seen actually is that the boost of major, webinars, digital lunches, and other digital knowledge sharing events. So all the previously physical events of knowledge sharing and on legal tech presentations and this community gatherings suddenly became virtual. And of course, that boosted the accessibility of this knowledge. So I believe this, general awareness of legal tech tools and what kind of tools there are in the market, how they should use, is basically solved due to COVID impact, maybe, or will be solved sooner or later. So despite the tragedy and the chaos which is outside, I think that COVID actually, and having this boost of knowledge sharing and virtual knowledge sharing simply increased connectivity and will solve the problem of awareness. But second issue, which and the second and third is, I'm going a little bit selfish, simply looking for advice or looking for some suggestion. But second issue is basically adaptability. Most of legal tech tools, as correctly Edwin has mentioned, are built for big law firms. I mean, they are pretty expensive, and naturally, I mean, of course, the law firm with 1 or 2 lawyers or 3 lawyers is not the target client for most of the legal tech developers. So when it comes to the tools to be implemented for a small firm or solo practitioners, there are some functions within that tool which are very useful and easy to adapt, but most of the other functions are basically useless or very intrusive into the daily practices of lawyering, and still they have a price tag on them. So, for example, in our In our practice, we use legal practice management tool Amberlaw, which is a great Lithuanian-based tool and has a lot of very great functions, but we basically use time cards and invoices. Because other functions are simply just, we didn't found the efficiency in them, although there are great tools. And even the time tracking, Amberlaw has a time tracking function, but it is a bit impractical. So I'm using Timeolar simply due to simplicity. That's a very great tool for time tracking. It has this physical device which you can put on a side and it starts tracking automatically. Very, very easy to use, but it's already the second tool I have to, I'm using. Then even that, I'm still using Excel for reporting, fee sharing between the team members, analysis. So even those tools have some reporting functions in them, but I'm still finding a bit easier to download everything to Excel and then do my own analysis. We also have a contract mill for document automation, and it's still, it's a great tool and one which is suggested by Orshoria for us. It's a great tool, but we still rather use manually built libraries and documents, simply because the great template, which was great for some tasks, may have different context with other tasks. And when you're lawyering, in general, yes, you have some commonalities between the tasks, but the contexts are different, clients are different, situations are different. So you can't really automate everything. And when you are small and those situations are changing rapidly, it's simply easier to take the document out of your own library and start working on a word processor. So we have, even being the enthusiasts of legal tech and tried many of them, and we have a lot of tools in our practice, but still, going back to the Excel and Word and Outlook and those conventional tools. So the question here is, why there is no, or maybe there is, I don't know, but the legal tech for small law firms should be looked as a legal tech Lego combinator. There should be a solution where I can take some, part from this tool, part from that tool, part for another, build everything into some meta desktop or whatever, and use what is customized solution for myself, like Lego. You have, those who have kids will understand. You have this Lego manual book, and you build at first they build what is shown in the picture, but 1 or 2 months past, that thing is broken down, and kids are starting building houses and robots and whatever, cars. So that's how I see the legal tech for small law firms. There should be this combinator function for us. And finally, what very correctly the Edwina said, there is a question of acceptability. Most legal tech tools require time to learn how to operate them, time to manage them. You have to feed the information. You have to learn how to use those tools. And when you are a small firm or solo practitioner, and especially if you are good at what you do as a lawyer, your schedules are always booked. Usually it is full with client inquiries who are bringing the food to the table. So usually small law firms don't have legal technologists, legal project managers, innovation departments, or other specialized departments to kind of crack the legal tech tools and start building this innovation programs. So everything usually is in the hands of those few lawyers in a law firm and few of the assistants, which usually don't have time for learning the new things. So when it comes to legal tech tools, the question usually boils down to, should I spend 2 or 3 hours to automate this document template for some future efficiency, or should I, spend those 2 or 3 hours solving client issue and earning some money? So and usually the immediate financial gain is a very powerful incentive, not in favor of legal tech tools. So this overall, I think the awareness of legal tech is already in the past, and that's, sorry to say that, but thanks to COVID, that even got boosted very more. But adaptability and acceptability of legal tech tools is here to stay. I think there should be a solution for Lego type of combinator for those who want to use the technologies. But the main question is how to find time to learn and manage those tools, and without negatively affecting, billable hours. So I know that big law firms like Alex and 1%ers, they have, the specialized departments, and they can, do the focused integration of legal tech tools. But 99% is a small law firms, and maybe that's the reason that the lack of time, in comparison to the billable hours, that might be the biggest problem. At least what we are facing, even being the, super legal tech geeks, we are still, slow in adapting, simply because we can't find time, without sacrificing the billable hours. So this is what we have on desk, and sorry for this long monologue, but I just had to put it out there in a single shot.
Thank you, Paulius. I had some technical difficulties, so I didn't heard the whole monologue of yours, but the last part was very interesting. Thank you for sharing it. So, Uršula, I want to ask you, what do you think about that idea about Lego, about that lawyers are so lazy to learn legal tech?
There are so many things that you shared, all these great insights, and I can, just tune into any of those ideas. Lots of great ideas were thrown into this digital space here. Look, definitely change takes time, right? Change is a process, and it doesn't happen overnight. And it does have all those various aspects. You need to dedicate time. You need to find the right tools for it. You need to make it happen somehow. And I think, like, one of the big changes, like how what really is happening here is we're moving towards a digital economy, and what that really means is that data. That is very data dependent, right? And we lawyers are coming to realize that it's not sufficient it's no longer sufficient to consider and use the same tools we used for, the last 10, 15, 100 years. We just need to find the right ways to be able to access data, and also move towards a data-driven legal service. Whether you're a law firm, whether you're an in-house legal department, you need to find the right ways to dig into those data sets that you have at your disposal. And that could be your matters, your everyday matters. You need to have the right matter management tool in place in order to find, the data, who is working on what, who's doing what, for what purpose, for what is the business scope, what is the business outcome of that. If you're an in-house legal team, you're probably even more inclined into using data because you get a lot of pressure from the business teams. And so seeing your matters very clearly, again, what type of legal work you're doing, what is your way of intaking information, how do you get legal requests from your business teams, how do you manage them, how do you allocate work, how do you allocate your budget? It's all data-driven processes. So I think that when we're talking about, like legal tech and digitization of the legal industry and services, we need to keep that sort of data culture in mind. And I really like the Lego approach, Paulius. I very much agree on that, although we need to keep also in mind that there is not one tool that will fit all the sizes. And it's not. It's also not a matter of the size of the legal department, right? There are tools for everyone out there. Our approach is, like, what is the need? Where do you focus? What is the issue you need to solve as a smaller or as a bigger legal team? So I think the very first thing is that you need to get your priorities right. And so given there are a lot of tools out there, I really think a mosaic approach or the Lego approach is really a good one. But instead of expecting the Lego pieces to figure it out for you, like what they want to be, I think you as a lawyer are the combinator, right? Like, you find the right use cases and you find the right tools. It's your responsibility as a leader of a law firm or legal department to figure it out. Like, what are your processes? What are the tools that you need? What is your team capable to do? What can you do internally, and where do you need external advice? Right. And actually, a couple of years ago, when we established and moved ahead with this legal entrepreneurship with the InvestC Legal Tech Consultancy, I could very clearly see this need, for bridging the gap between technology and lawyers. Because indeed, there are a lot of things that are actually, needed, but it's very hard to define how to use them. Who is going to use them? Is it going to be somebody internally in the legal team, or maybe an external advisor? How do you find the right use case? How do you train your people? Maybe some of them are really keen to really focus on the text of the law. You wouldn't want to force them into learning technology because they don't care, and they shouldn't care. It's not their thing. Whereas other people who are really keen on exploring new ways of working, you need to give them the tools. Right? So it's a very complex process of digital transformation management, basically. You need to know your processes, you need to know your people, you need to know the tools out there. So it's rather complex, and that's essentially what we do as a legal tech consultancy. We have a marketplace of tools, but primarily we build on the people, on the lawyers who want to change, who want to manage this process much better and just get better at it. I don't want to. I can go on and on with this, but happy to reflect on the specific questions you may have, and let's have a discussion.
I just want to back up a little bit to what Uršula said. We are very happy and grateful to the higher forces that we have met, Uršula, with CEE, and a lot of throughout the discussions and on this legal tech adaptation, we actually kind of settled down that the problem is not in the technology, the problem is in our heads and in our mindset. I mean, this is
it's the people's mindset.
Yeah, and throughout discussions, we received many great advices. How to approach the technology and how to think about technology in the legal work. So, but yeah, the tech is not a problem. It's in the heads of the lawyers.
Also, just one more thing on the size of the teams. Look, I spent more than a decade in big law, and I must admit I've been very frustrated. Like, when I became aware of the changes, the technology changes, working for Dentons, one of the most challenging law firms ever, as they say. It was very frustrating for me to realize how much of that is marketing, like what you say about yourself or where you want to be and what you actually do in practice. And what I see is that, oftentimes smaller, mid-sized regional firms, they have a lot more drive to make change happen, right? It's a management matter as well, like how you run your team, how you manage your public appearance, and a lot of those things. But also it's about just making things happen instead of like more doing and less speaking. Look, it's a lot, and then I think there's also a matter of business model. You mentioned the billable hour. Look, I think it's a huge factor in in holding back on deploying technology for the reasons you actually mentioned, Paulius, right? Because it comes against the billable hour model. I'm a big fan of, leaving the billable hour behind and just, rushing forward with the great tools and new business models.
I could add to this. I heard, maybe I'm not precise with the numbers, but when it comes to innovation, there are 18% of people who are dreaming about innovation, and they would do whatever they want to go to that innovation. Then it's like 25% who maybe do not understand the innovation, but they want to implement it. And there is the rest of them. Maybe 10% is the ones who would still be using this phone with, numbers, but unfortunately it's not possible, so they have to move to smartphones. But I'm very glad that these people here, the speakers, are the ones who would stand, maybe not literally, but for the newest iPhone. Not because it's the newest, not because they will use all the functions, but because we are driven by the wish that something would change. Of course, as it was said,
we are making change happen. It's not just looking at it from the outside, but we are the change makers.
Exactly, and some of it's marketing for sure. Big legal tech, let's say, implementation into the law firms ends up with actually having a nice tool which is not used, or used some percent of that. But there is no way how to make it moving without implementing and starting with something. And I'm pretty sure that each of us would use some of it. And we even maybe don't call it legal tech, but we are using it. Even this time calculating, some projects, it's AI driven in a way. But when I work with the business, I said let's maybe 5-6 years ago, I said let's move to e-signing platform. At that moment in Lithuania, e-signature was something like really rare, and they said you still need to have a pen, right, to sign, which we know it's not true. And at that moment, when we calculated the budget, they said, look, you go with a taxi to another city to collect handwritten signatures, and it will be cheaper than to implement this. But 5 years forward, and we're using it. And I believe after 5 years, we will maybe listen to the same speech what we do today, and we say, well, how could we not think of something what we will use? And it's great that you are speaking. It's great that you sometimes, as Paulus mentioned, small firms, they're even faster because you have nothing to fear. You implement certain technology. If it's not working in practice, you can go to another one. When it comes to big law firms, if you make a huge investment, maybe you're attempting to still trying with the same technology which is not actually working. And when we'll think inside that we need not the technology itself, because technology, although it's a huge hype, it should only support us. It should not change us. So let's use what's useful in practice, and if not, let's go to another one.
Thank you for those interesting insights. Also, it's time for questions if we have any. So those who watch us on YouTube, you can use live comment section, and you can type any comments or questions, and I will try to read them. And yeah, we are sorry if you was not able to connect to this meet. Sorry for those technical issues, but probably in the future we will solve it. So while we are waiting for the questions, or maybe there will be no, I also have another question for all of you. Are you not afraid that IT companies, so information technology based companies, will take all job from lawyers. What do you think about it?
I'm not afraid. If they want to take some boring or template job, so yeah, you're welcome. I will have more time for more complex issues. I mean, that's okay with me.
Totally agree. You know, it's. I believe they can be afraid that we will be taking some of their work, because you know, when it comes to creating the IT platforms dedicated for lawyers, it appears that only having the IT specialists might be not enough. You might need to have the lawyer inside of this technology, inside of this project, and this is where the lawyers have a great opportunity. You know, even I myself try to learn how to program, and it's so much fun. You know, although I don't have maybe I don't dedicate my future for programming, but more or less I believe that especially younger generation would have those skills, and this comes only to benefit side. Why not to have it? Totally agree with Paulus. We do so much technical work and administrative when it comes to clients, when it comes to. I would be happy to get rid of it. I would be happy to only dedicate my work to actually when it comes to practice, to knowledge sharing, rather than you know, putting the numbers in the contract, correcting the style. So much fun. If someone can create that, let's do that.
I took the risk very seriously. Look, I skipped, I ran away from big law where I could see that, you know, the type of work that I used to do, you know, like due diligence review and, you know, like drafting contracts, you know, like very often from templates, you know, that is changing. So I took that very seriously to establish and start new ways of working. And I think I think there's definitely a threat in there, and I think it should be wisely interpreted in order to really make change happen. I mean, it won't happen without us. It shouldn't happen without us. So my approach to that is, you know, it's real. It's happening. That there are tools out there who can do some part of the job instead of us. And that could be a good news or that could be a bad news. And we just need to make sure that we find our own roles and responsibilities in this whole process. And we keep the high level sophisticated, you know, the control type of work for ourselves. Right? And it's really good approach to replace the manual repetitive processes and find the right technology for those use cases. And then, you know, free up the human spirit and the human knowledge to really get to what we are really good at, analyzing data, putting the right questions, you know, pulling it all together, drafting the right reports, getting advice human to human, you know, connecting with people, tuning into the right mindsets and questions and feeling and you know, like being together with a client in a certain scenario. So we need to, you know, this is a great opportunity to bring up the human expertise in us, and that's something very seriously needs to be done.
Thank you everyone for. Oh yeah, so Paulus wants to say something.
Paulus, you are muted.
Yeah, Paulus, just please turn on your mic.
Yeah, sorry. One remark on what Ursula and Edwina said, that it is a threat if you are not prepared for that. I mean, but if you see that it's coming and you are not looking to those, you know, speakers as some kind of cosmonauts out of the space, so you can be, you know, you can be ready for that. Like you know, 100 years ago, when people were riding horses, we were looking at cars as a threat. But actually, the new modes of transportation, brought some good opportunities for road builders, for sign builders, for these the new mapping tools, new cars. That's a it's not about the cars only. It's about all the infrastructure which is around, and it's a it built an opportunity for boring company with underground transportation. So it's a way how you look at the technologies. If you look at it as a threat and you're afraid of it, so yeah, you will be killed by that. I mean, no questions about that. But if you look at that as an opportunity to kind of build an ecosystem about, and you think about what kind of changes it brings to you, so you are ready and you will be okay. I mean, it will be different for sure, but it will be okay.
Yeah, but for sure, lawyers should think more about like legal design, about user-centric approach, because like now the youngers, they want to solve everything on a Facebook or I don't know, on other social networks. And if you will find a way how to give them like legal service there, so you will be the winner.
And
okay.
It's a funny thing you mentioned legal process design, because with Ursula we are thinking of giving the special topics maybe under the Vilnius Legal Hackers umbrella on legal process design, because Ursula and CEE has very nice showcases to show and promote that kind of philosophy on a legal process design. So this is a good way for a little bit promoting the next topics of ours.
Okay, and for the ending, maybe every one of you could share for just a few ideas how like the rest of pandemic will develop in legal domain. Just for few sentences, ideas.
I hope it. I see it at COVID or through the theory of chaos. I mean that every chaos has some patterns in it, and sooner or later the new way of life will appear. So I'm just waiting for it for a little bit to settle down, and some things will remain, some things will be bad, or some things will be greater, but it will be it will be something. It will be something new ways of lawyering, new ways of providing services, and I'm simply waiting and observing what kind of new world it will be after the COVID. Of course, hoping that it will end sooner better than later. So yeah.
Okay, so from my end, before the COVID pandemic, we had many standard operations, institutions. No way of signing anything electronically. You have to give the paper and place a stamp. Although the company might have no stamp, you still need it. Because why? It's safer somehow versus electronical. When it comes to the clients, you say maybe let's have a quick call or speak on some platforms. It's not possible. Why? Because you will better understand my problem, face to face. Although it means that you are going 1 hour to different city. And suddenly, the pandemic shows that it's not so hard to use electronic signature. It's not so hard to put the big problem, which takes 2 hours or 3 hours of meeting somewhere, into 15 minutes to see, and the problem is solved. Actually, you are paying for the real. So this is the benefit for both sides, the clients and the lawyers. And then it appears that those lawyers are not so expensive if you use them wisely. If you want them to solve all your problems, the lawyers would be happy to do that, but maybe it's not needed. You're not going for the doctor to check your car. It's the same. You're not going to the lawyer to make the administrative work and check the mistakes in the document. If you are doing that, you have to pay. And with the pandemic, I believe that even the clients are getting smarter, and they know that some ways of new reality comes into even legal side, and even the law firms understand. Okay, it's good to have the office. Of course, we'll come back to the office, but it doesn't matter. Or you even don't know where I'm sitting, in which city or which part of the world. So bright future. Thanks COVID, at least for one good benefit that I believe technology went at least 5 years ahead of time. And with Ursula and Paulus, it would move even faster.
I'm so glad you mentioned Edvina's new reality, because I think this is what it is. It's a huge change, very complex, very difficult. And I think we need to take very seriously control over how we're managing this, and need to make sure that we stay in control of our professional lives, professional future as well. It is a huge shift towards digitization for sure, and as I mentioned up front earlier, I think it's really going towards a data-driven approach, not only in business but in legal services as well. So we as lawyers need to find the right ways to provide advice, based on data. It's no longer sufficient to say it depends on the circumstances. You need to dig down and be able to provide data to your clients, why you're doing it, what is the outcome, how do you predict it, what is the reason why you're working in a certain way, and technology enables us to do that. So make sure to take control, and stay on top of technology with your human expertise. That's my takeaway note. Thank you so much for having me.
Martinas, you're on mute.
Yeah. Thank you, Edvinas, for helping me to end this conversation. So Ursula, Edvinas, and Paulus, thank you a lot for this very interesting talk. I hope to see you in the future in Legal Tech Talks, meetups. And also, thank you everyone who was listening to our first digital lunch, let's say, episode. And please join us next week for the next episode organized by Denmark and Sweden. So I hope you will enjoy. And I hope that we will have less technical problems. So we'll try to make as smooth as possible. So thank you again and goodbye.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.